You are currently surrounded by people who smile at you. They offer you advice. They offer to help carry your burdens. But there is a hidden, cold-blooded math to human relationships that you are completely ignoring. If a person's status, wealth, or ego improves the moment your life falls apart, their betrayal is not a possibility. It is a countdown. Most people are entirely blind to this. They trust the people who are closest to them, completely forgetting that proximity is exactly what a predator needs to strike. To understand the fatal, irreversible mistake of trusting the wrong ally, you must look at the downfall of the most terrifying man in history. At the dawn of the 16th century, Cesare Borgia was invincible. He had conquered almost all of Italy through a mixture of brilliant military strategy and absolute, ruthless deception. His father was Pope Alexander VI, giving Cesare the full backing of the Catholic Church. But in the summer of 1503, disaster struck. His father died suddenly, and Cesare himself fell violently ill. For the first time in his life, the apex predator was vulnerable. A new pope had to be elected. The future of Cesare's entire empire depended on who won that election. In a moment of desperation, Cesare made a deal with his oldest, most bitter rival, Giuliano della Rovere. Giuliano came to Cesare's bedside. He smiled. He swore an oath to protect Cesare's lands and keep him as the commander of the papal armies. He promised absolute loyalty. Cesare, blinded by his own past success and desperate for a quick solution, believed him. He used his massive influence to ensure Giuliano was elected as Pope Julius II. It was the last decision Cesare ever made as a free man. The exact second the Pope's crown touched Giuliano's head, the smile vanished. Giuliano immediately betrayed the oath. He stripped Cesare of his armies. He confiscated his lands. He threw the great conqueror into a dungeon. Niccolò Machiavelli witnessed this firsthand. He wrote that Cesare Borgia executed every single political move perfectly in his life except one. His fatal, unforgivable error was believing that a man who deeply benefited from his destruction would ever truly be his ally. Giuliano's power required Cesare's ruin. Cesare trusted a promise. He should have trusted the math. We are taught from a young age to judge people by their character. We look at how kindly someone speaks, how often they smile, and the promises they make. This is a childish and deeply dangerous way to view the world. Human nature is not driven by morals. It is driven by incentives. An incentive is the invisible string pulling the puppet. If you want to know what a person is going to do, you do not listen to their words. You look at what they have to gain. Loyalty is an incredibly expensive human emotion. When loyalty directly conflicts with a person's survival, their ambition, or their ego, loyalty will evaporate instantly. This is not because people are inherently evil. It is because they are biologically wired to prioritize their own elevation. If someone is standing on the ladder directly below you, and the only way for them to move up is if you fall, they are going to shake the ladder. It does not matter how many times you have bought them dinner. It does not matter how many secrets you have shared. When the structure of your relationship means that your failure equals their success, a conflict of interest is born. And in a conflict of interest, human nature dictates that self-interest will always, eventually, win. You are being betrayed not because you are unlucky, but because you are failing to read the incentives of the people around you. Let us observe this dynamic in a highly competitive modern environment. You are working at a high-pressure company. A massive promotion has just opened up. It is between you and one other colleague. You are both highly qualified. You are currently leading a critical project. If it succeeds, the promotion is guaranteed to be yours. But you are overwhelmed. The deadline is approaching, and you are drowning in the workload. Your rival colleague walks over to your desk. They smile warmly. They see how stressed you are. They say, I know you're swamped. Let me take the data analysis off your plate. We're a team. I've got your back. Your immediate reaction is profound relief. You think, wow, what a great person. We are competing, but they are still willing to help me. You hand over the data. You exhale. You just committed career suicide. You judged their words. You completely ignored the incentive. What happens if that data is analyzed perfectly? You look like a genius, and they lose the promotion. What happens if the data is slightly delayed or full of subtle, hard-to-find errors? The project misses the deadline. You look incompetent in front of leadership, and they slide perfectly into the vacant promotion. 2 days before the presentation, they hand the data back to you. It is a mess. Or worse, they present it themselves to the boss, taking all the credit for the hardest part of the project, while making you look like a mere assistant. You get angry. You call them a snake. You complain about workplace toxicity. But you are entirely to blame. You handed the keys to your survival to the exact person who profits from your execution. You created the opportunity for your own betrayal. Now, consider the strategic alternative. They walk over. They smile. They offer to take the data. You look at them. You mentally calculate their incentive. You realize their success requires your failure. You smile back. I appreciate the offer, but I have a very specific vision for this data. I'm going to handle it myself. Perhaps you stay late. You drink the coffee. You suffer through the exhaustion. But you maintain absolute control over the variable that dictates your survival. You secure the project. You secure the promotion. You survive because you read the math, not the smile. This brutal law of incentives is not confined to the workplace. It infects every corner of your social and personal life. Look at the dynamics of your friend group. You have a friend who is perpetually single, struggling, and deeply insecure about their dating life. You enter a healthy, thriving relationship. You go to this friend for a minor piece of advice after a small argument with your partner. What does the friend say? They immediately amplify the problem. That's a huge red flag. You deserve better. You should honestly just leave them. Why are they so quick to suggest destruction? Because your happiness is a glaring mirror reflecting their own loneliness. If your relationship fails, you return to their level. You validate their misery. Their ego benefits from your fall. Their advice is weaponized to ensure it. Look at business partnerships. The creative visionary who hates dealing with numbers hands the entire financial control of the company over to their trusted partner. They refuse to look at the bank statements because they trust them completely. The partner realizes they have absolute, unchecked power. The incentive to skim off the top becomes overwhelming. Years later, the visionary is bankrupt, completely blindsided by the theft. When you create an environment where someone can benefit from your downfall without consequence, you are not being a good friend. You are building a trap for yourself. Trusting people who benefit from your weakness is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. Walk into an ancient forest and look at the trees. You will often see a massive, ancient oak tree wrapped in a thick, beautiful blanket of green ivy. To the untrained eye, it looks like a symbiotic relationship. It looks like an embrace. The ivy wraps tightly around the trunk, resting its weight on the solid wood. But the ivy has a singular, biological incentive. It needs sunlight, and the oak tree is blocking the sun. Slowly, year after year, the ivy climbs higher. It digs its roots into the bark. It begins to spread over the branches. It covers the leaves of the oak tree, suffocating its ability to breathe. The ivy is not malicious. It does not hate the oak tree. It simply benefits from the oak tree's death. When the oak finally rots and collapses, the ivy will have already reached the canopy. It will have consumed the light. Most of the people who will betray you do not come at you with axes. They come at you like ivy. They wrap their arms round you. They tell them they are supporting you. But all the while, they are quietly positioning themselves to consume your sunlight the moment you show weakness. Do not mistake an embrace for loyalty. Sometimes they are just measuring you for the coffin. To navigate this world without being consumed, you must become a master of reading incentives. You must stop listening to the music and start looking at the sheet music. Here is the tactical framework for protecting yourself from hidden enemies. Rule 1. Always map the aftermath. Whenever someone offers you advice, help, or a partnership, ask yourself one silent question. If I completely fail, what happens to them? If the answer is they gain money, status, or an ego boost, disregard everything they say. They are compromised. Rule 2. Never outsource your survival. You can delegate tasks. You can ask for help. But you must never hand over complete control of the one thing that keeps you alive. Whether it is your finances, your core project, or your emotional stability. If someone holds the detonator to your life, they will eventually press the button. Rule 3. Beware the over-eager ally. When someone you are not deeply close to suddenly becomes incredibly helpful and overly invested in your business, red alert. People do not spend their valuable energy on you for free. They are looking for an angle. They are searching for the access point. Keep them at arm's length. Rule 4. Build mutually assured survival. The only people you can truly rely on are those whose incentives align perfectly with your own. You want allies who will bleed if you bleed. If your failure costs them money, status, or their own survival, they will fight to the death to protect you. Not out of love, out of self-interest. That is the only trust that never breaks. This psychological shift will change the way you view every interaction for the rest of your life. If you have spent your life as an optimist, this framework will feel cold. You will initially resist it. You will want to believe that people are fundamentally pure. But pure people still obey the laws of gravity, and they still obey the laws of human nature. By continuing to blindly trust the smiles of those who compete with you, you are volunteering to be a victim. You are choosing to be the prey. But the moment you stop listening to their words and start calculating their incentives, the blindfold comes off. You will begin to see the invisible matrix of human behavior. You will no longer be shocked when a colleague tries to steal your credit. You will have anticipated it. You will no longer be crushed when a jealous friend gives you toxic advice. You will ignore it. You are evolving from a naive player into a cold calculator. You will stop placing your trust in the fragile emotions of others. and you will anchor it to the ironclad laws of self-interest. You will never be blindsided again. The world is not built on love. It is built on leverage. Your survival is your absolute responsibility. Do not hand the knife to the person who wants your throne. Judge people by what they have to gain, and you will never be deceived by what they pretend to feel. Map the incentives. Protect your flanks. Trust the math. This is the path of Niccolo.